Tennessee remains in the grips of a deadly opioid epidemic. Journalist and author Sam Quinones has studied the crisis and what led up to it for years. His book, Dreamland, put his discoveries in print. In a speech about that book and solutions at the local level, he underlined the difference communities can make in curbing the crisis.
A lot of places are kind of on the right track. I want to encourage people sometimes in these communities where they're forming these groups and trying to find answers to this whole problem that they're kind of on the right track. Just keep going. Don't give up because maybe it doesn't immediately resolve itself.
The District Attorney General's office says suspected overdoses have claimed the lives of 259 people in Knox County alone this year.
After